All right, so let's talk about app data. What is app data? App data, simply put, is the data in your application. All right, so whenever you enter into an input, whenever you get data from a database, uh, everything you display, if it's dynamic, that is app data. In other node code platforms, app data is analogous to collection type data. All right, so let's just look at our implementation of app data. So if you go over here in our visual tab, visual state tab, you will see these two tabs within it. One tab here says live app data. So this is the current app's state. And the other one is the initial app data. So if you had data that you wanted to initialize, right? So one quick note about initializing data is that we have something here called lifecycle functions. So we have this onload function, on app load function. You could also initialize data that way if you wanted to initialize your state from a database. But here, I'm just doing this manually. So basically, app data is the data in your application, and all elements have access to this app state or app data through different types of interfaces. You could implement logic with this app data, or you can just interact directly with this app data. All right, let's test it out real quick. So here we see that we have first name initialized, and when the app loads, first name is present in our app data. All right, so we're gonna drag something onto the screen. We're gonna drag a heading. All right, so currently this is a static heading. We're gonna change it to dynamic. All right, we're gonna use dynamic text, and we are going to map to our app data. Like I said, it's available for use in our script interface, and I am going to map into, I believe it was first name. All right, there you have it. So you have John, and that is what we have in our live app state. Now, if I were to change this here to Johnson, see that has changed. So this is a very, very easy way to interact with this data. But obviously, we're not going to be manually changing our data or manually managing our state. We will use elements for that. So let's drag an element on the page. We're going to grab an input. We're going to drop it on the page. I am going to reposition this. Let us change a couple of the styling. What we're going to do, we're just going to put a margin on top. We are going to perhaps reduce the width. Let's just make this 40%. Let's center this really quickly. Auto. Okay. And actually, let's put this all the way at the bottom. That looks better. Let's put some margin at the bottom too. All right, so now let's map this to our app state. So we have this app data field. So by default, elements that interact with app data will come with a default field. All you just need to do if you want this to be different is just change it. So we're going to change this to first name. There you have it, guys and girls. We have mapped this element, or if you want to use a technical term, we have binded this element to that app data field, right? As it says here, app data field. And now if I change it, Johnson is great. Right, so we see that our heading and our input are in sync because they are both binded to the same app data field. So you can see how app data can be used uh, in your application, and within functions as well, right? When you're writing functions, one thing to note is that app data is a default parameter. So you can use this in your logic as well. So we could have some logic here that says, hey, if, let's take a look at this, if the app settings user is authenticated, then you could do some logic based on that, right? Now, one thing to note while we have some time here, 4 minutes in, so I'm going to wrap up really, really quickly. But one thing I want to wrap up with is that we have something called app settings. So app settings is basically everything that the in-house cloud system, right, manages for you, right? Everything outside the app settings you manage. So here we have a user. We're going to get into this in a different video, but this user here is basically a sample user that we are basically simulating as our active user. So one thing you can do on this platform is that you can have multiple sample users. If you're trying to build an application that require different types of users, you wouldn't need to log in, log out, whatever that is. You would just switch between users seamlessly. All right, so let's go back here. But all this system managed data will be in the app settings. You see, as you can see, it's the user, it's the user agent, it's the computer details, the language, and the device mode. If I switch to tablet and I go over here, the device mode has changed to tablet. So this is data that the app builder controls. And let's switch back over to desktop. And if you just add elements to the page, you can work with your app data, with along with logic and along with your elements to build uh, really, really fun, really, really powerful applications. All right, everyone. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.